You're going to find someone everywhere that's ready to go like this to you. They want to be on top. Right. And be like, I can do this. And it was like, nothing I did was ever good enough. And even when I did things that were good enough, I was looked at like, you're supposed to do that. You truly have to forgive people who don't even know they need forgiveness because it is for you. It's for you. It's not for them. It's for you to then continue to move around this space, to move around the world and navigate it. The part of me that doesn't work in the same way anymore is the strong part of me. The strength is still there, but the strength is also not still there. I am so much more willing now to be like, no, I'm fainting and fawning with the rest of them. Ooh.
I'm so excited for this conversation. How's everybody feeling today? Believe there's time for it, and there are going to be seasons in your life where I know that I can do a damn good job. I can be who I am. And as a leader, so do not be afraid of collaboration. As we're learning things, we're gonna make lots of mistakes.
It's for you to then continue to move around this space, move around the world and navigate it. You are right where you're meant to be. All right, guys. So we had a little breakdown with the stream, but we back on. I'm so excited to continue this conversation with Niquana. But for the purposes of the stream and consistency, we're going to redo the introduction. So again, I want you guys to welcome Niquana Clark. Again, she's a New York City creative. She's a daughter. She's an aspiring mother. She's an aspiring wife. She is a wonderful leader and human and friend. And I can't wait for you guys to have this conversation with her about the need to feel superior, right? And so much of our lives are based in interactions with different people in leadership as we work through corporate and in different blue collar jobs. Also, not just in that, we also go through leadership in life with family, our parents, and with our friends. And I'm so excited to have this conversation because we're going to be touching on multiple different levels of the need to feel superior today. And with all of that, I welcome Niquana. Just jumping right in. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hello again. My name is Niquana Clark. I am a New York City native and a creative. I have worked in like the nonprofit sector, doing a lot of work in original theater. I've worked with young people in Rikers Island. I've worked with young people in foster care. I've gone into schools and done facilitation with like small populations of kids to basically build original work, whether that be literally writing and then to the stage and getting them to perform in front of people, or just writing something for themselves, like showing them how to write a script properly. Um, and yes. So that's exciting. That's exciting work. And like we were saying earlier, there's so much happening with the arts, right? Given with the current administration and the defunding of a lot of different programs, I was saying that I'm sure that has to be a difficult space for you to be in, both as a creative who's passionate about helping children, but also as a creative in terms of like interacting with leaders, interacting with work and things like that. So I'm wondering, like, what does that space feel like for you right now? Yeah, it's definitely a weird space. It makes me sad because I think that young people need, specifically young people, need the space to explore. And you know what? Let me just say people need, because I am learning now as an adult that people need the space to explore, whether they've had it before or not. But everyone needs that space to kind of figure out their special sauce. And it's never too late to figure that out. You can always find like your little corner where you fit and you just create and you blossom and you bloom and it'll be beautiful. But I think that it's a shame because
like for me when I was younger, the arts and sciences really helped me find that thing, and finding something that I was good at, felt good doing, um, really helped with my confidence as a person. Um, really made me feel like I could walk into any room, I could hang with any people, and I could just be me. I often joke with my friends that like I don't code switch because I'm just me when I go in any room. I don't have time. I'm doing me, and that's that. If you don't want to be doing this, then I don't know.
I love that. I love that. And that's a really big topic in corporate America today, which is the need to be authentic, right? And understand that, like, you know, the authenticity around the arts is the undercurrent of like what's being damaged as they defund the arts, because now children have to learn a different type of skill, right? Not just like being themselves and showing up authentically and being creative, but now it's like, okay, how do I find myself? Where do I find myself? Because typically, those classes, the arts, the sciences, those classes is where kids find out who they really want to be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in middle school, I was interested in a different science every week. I
Wow.
wanted to be a botanist, a mycologist. I wanted to do everything.
Wow.
Like each week, I was like, I want to do this, I want to do that, because I got introduced to it, and I was like, this is so cool. And
Yeah.
I feel like when I've spoken to young people over the last few years, and I ask them like, what do they want to do? What do they see themselves doing? They're often their answers are often hollow and
Yeah.
just kind of like, I want to make money.
Yeah.
Um, they
Yeah.
don't. It's interesting because the young people that I've interacted with, they don't really seem to have like hard interests or things that they're like, this is my thing. Like I
Yeah.
feel like they're open and being like, well, how can I survive? How can I make money? How can I get cool things? How can I look like that guy or that girl?
Yeah.
And that kind of just seems to be the vibe, which I find to be sad because it's our interests, our hobbies, the little things that we do that make us who we are. Like
Yeah.
when I was a kid, my friends would call me Eliza Thornberry from the Wild Thornberries
Yeah.
because first of all, I grew up in the projects in New York, and I used to be running around the projects like collecting mushrooms, like just all types of weird stuff because that's what I was into. Like I wanted to be a mycologist. I was like, ooh, mushrooms, put it in a plastic bag, had it in the fridge. And my grandmother would be like, why do you have that thing in my fridge? And I'm like, please just let it stay there overnight because then tomorrow I'm going to take spore prints. Like, please. And
Oh,
like, I used to be stressed out.
oh
But I
wow.
just wanted to do my thing. And like, I figured out a way to do my thing in any space that I was in. I'm like, here's what I like. And then any program, like when I was younger, any program that aligned with my interests, baby, I was forging
You
my mother's
taking
signature
it.
and thinking about it later. Okay, I
Oh,
signed
let's not
up.
implicate her. She didn't mean that. She didn't mean that. She didn't mean that.
I was signing up, okay, and I was like, "Mom, I signed up for this." Okay, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I love what you said about, or at least I want to lift up what you said about you feeling like people, need to survive, because like this entire series is about survival patterns. And I made a post the other day. I think it was like 3 weeks ago, talking about like us as leaders now, or the adults now in the room, we are now imparting this knowledge of survival patterns onto our children because we are not disrupting the mindset, right? So I know that for the conversation today, we are talking about the need to feel superior for now, we'll start within the workplace, right?
okay.
And the first question I really would have for you is like, what was your first experience with someone in the workplace with the need to feel like superior, or the need to hover in that way?
Whew. Okay.
And no details, right? It can just be like how you felt. It
Oh
doesn't.
no, no. I'm
Yeah.
laughing because, um, growing up, like getting my first job at like 14, that was something I was definitely told not to tolerate by my grandmother.
Wow.
Like
Okay.
my grandmother was like, if they're treating you this way, you can get another job. So when I was like in my teenage years, baby, you couldn't talk to me anyway. It was no way. I was like, I can go out and get another job because that is what was instilled in me. And so when a manager got out of pocket or trying to check me over something that did not make any sense, like I remember as a young person, for just a little short stint there, I like worked out like a Chipotle, and I rolled up to the Chipotle for my 6 a.m. opening shift to fry those darn chips and get the register together. And sweetie, I got in and I realized like I switched bags and I didn't have the shirt. So I know they have a plethora of shirts in the basement. Go to my manager, say, hey, left my shirt at home. Sorry, like, could I just have another shirt from out the basement? He looked me in my face and said no. And he said, and if you can't find a shirt from one of your team members, you're not working today and I'm writing you up. Sweetie, I picked up my bag, my purse, off the cubby hook, and I walked out. I'm not playing with you. And the entire time, excuse me, the entire time that I was exiting the Chipotle, he was yelling behind me, Niquana, Niquana, because he could not believe.
Yeah, it's very interesting because like now you were a kid then, right? We were saying kid, right?
Yeah.
And your grandmother instilled these values in you not to take boop from people,
Nope.
right? I'm just wondering now as an adult, as you look back on that experience, right? Like, what did you think? Like, what did you think that he was thinking in that moment? Because it's definitely a need to feel superior part. Like he was definitely, doing his job too hard, if you ask me. But
Baby.
but like, I'm wondering because for me, like that's a wounded pattern, right? Like
Right.
you yourself, have been instilled. I'm not gonna take this mess from you, right? But I'm wondering, like, where do you think that this learned behavior came from, and how do you view that now as an adult?
It comes to, I think it comes down to the ownership that a leader feels around an organization or group or whatever they're leading, because you get like indoctrinated in a way that makes you feel like this is mine. And I'm like, while that young man probably had no stocks in Chipotle, nothing, he had worked there from being a person serving food to becoming a manager. So in his mind, this is mine, right? And I can understand the mentality, but I don't ever understand treating people like crap. I don't ever understand being unreasonable to people who are just trying to do a good job. I had never come to that job and not done a good job. So the one day that I needed a shirt, something as simple as that was there, and you refused to provide it to make a point, I got your point. I'm leaving.
I love that. I love that, and it sounds like a very overt type of like need to feel superior. Have you ever been in spaces where it was like subtle and you didn't notice it, but then like after a while, it was like, huh, this person's playing with me. Like they playing with me.
It's, yeah. Honestly, I have. I mean, it happens all over, right? You're going to find someone everywhere that's ready to go like this to you. They want to be on top. Right. They want to have this A-B dynamic with you. And then the sad part is that most of us want to be A. So then this dynamic continues. People don't know how to lead from here. We only know this. So, another job that I worked at, basically, like when I worked at this place, um, this person was kind of almost my mentor. Like, I mean, was a person that encouraged me, saw that I had the skill set, saw that I could do this job, like, and be excellent at it, and seemingly had my back. But what would happen is that a lot of pressure was applied on me, and I thought that it was just the way of the job. But when I got to see them interacting with another person in my same position and how much assistance they gave to that person and how much soft handed support and how much it was just like letting that person feel it out. Whereas with me, anytime they had to help me or assist me, it felt like a burden. It felt like, why do I have to do this? Well, with that other person, they gladly assisted. But when I look back on that experience, I recognize now that that was definitely much more about that person than it was about me. Because when I think about that person, they're in that same space as that Chipotle manager where that's their thing. And uh, when they're looking at anyone else doing that job, it's like low key not happy about it. And they will find a reason, a space, a plot hole twist to tell you You aren't them, and you aren't doing the job like them. But when I was working there, I did not recognize that. And I just remember like my heart breaking so much all the time because I really wanted to do a good job. I really wanted to feel validated by this person who was like at the top of the food chain in this organization, like, and be like, I can do this. And it was like nothing I did was ever good enough. And even when I did things that were good enough, I was looked at like, you're supposed to do that. And that was fine. But I watched you give others praise for things that are even more minimal. So it was just a weird dynamic that was existing there. Even down to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you continue. You continue.
Even down to me like leaving the organization and being like, offboarded, there was all these digs of like, oh, well, it didn't really work out because you're this kind of person. Like starting to try to tell me who I am, but trying to dig me down.
Yeah.
And it was just such an interesting things to watch. Like I felt like I was in the sunken place, like staring at this person because I'm just like, you were someone who presented that you cared about me, that you cared about my development here in this organization, and that you supported me. And now, right now, what you're trying to instill in me before I walk out this door is not hope, but you want me to feel defeated. You want me to feel like I didn't do a good job. And you want me to feel like I'm worthless. Honestly, that's how I felt. And I hated that. Another thing that was really frustrating in that like kind of like last interaction with me and that person is at the time I was working with young people. This person had the nerve to identify one single child out of the hundreds that I had worked with that I affected in a positive way. And I will have you know that to this day, the young people that I worked with reach out to me. They talk to me. We get coffee. But I only affected that one child that he tried to single out. And oddly enough, that is a child that I don't really hear from. I've seen them, out in the world and they're doing fine, but they're not a person that stays in constant contact with me where there are a plethora of other young people who do. Well, they're adults now. Well,
Yeah,
my babies is grown, but
he tried to
yes.
take your line, honey child. And I kind of want to dig a little deeper, and feel free to stop me if you don't want to, dig. But because a lot of the conversation that I have on my social media accounts is about returning to wholeness and like looking inward at our own wounds and like what we've internalized. And from that conversation, well, not conversation, but like from that exiting, from that interpersonal reactions not reactions, interactions with him, I'm wondering, did you feel like you internalized any of that after you left the organization?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I left that organization was afraid, like physically afraid to apply for a job
Wow.
because I was like, it's not going to work. They're going to think I'm terrible. I'm not going to be qualified. This, like, all these reasons about why not to do this. And I'm coming from a place of being a person who started working at 14, confidently getting jobs, confidently leaving jobs when I was not served. And now I'm in this space where this person has now, like, rippled into me that I'm not good enough. Like,
Yeah.
it was such a weird space to be in.
Yeah.
And honestly, even when I moved on, got my next job,
Yeah.
listen, people in live, you can judge this if you want, okay? But let me tell you what happened. I'm going to be real with you. So I applied for this job at another nonprofit, and I was pretty sure that it was like Black woman run. It was even Black woman queer ran, which was very exciting. I was like, period. So I applied, and I did my interview, and they asked me if I had any questions for them. And my question was, are there any white people that work at your organization? And I asked that because I mentally was not in a space I couldn't handle another microaggression, a macroaggression. I couldn't handle a funny little joke. Like, I just knew that I needed to be in community with people that looked like me and would hopefully have more of an understanding just of me. Because I feel like in large part I was misunderstood by the people that I used to work with. And so I literally said that. And I remember that the hiring manager was like, no. And I said, oh, great. I said, I was just wondering. But truly, I was wondering because I was not going to be interested if she would have said yes.
Oh wow. I mean, we're not gonna dive into the world of microaggressions and
Yeah.
DEI because we already know it's under attack.
Right.
We're not gonna dive into that right now. But what I do want to dive into slightly, so it's slight pivot and slight into that world. I do, in the conversations that I've had with the other women who've done this series, all of them have named community as a part of this healing, right? And I love that you're naming that you required community in order to return to your wholeness. And I'm wondering, like, once you started entering into that community, did you experience some of the that white supremacist ideology even within community, right? Like, because sometimes it does happen, right? The need to feel superior doesn't only exist, transracially, right? Or you know what I mean? And I'm just wondering, have you experienced that within those organizations as well, or not? It could be not.
Um, I'm going to go ahead and say no because that organization that I interviewed into and then eventually worked with, that was
Mm-hmm.
like Black woman queer led, was beautiful. I think that large in part the way that the leaders over there led was by respect.
Okay.
So it was clear like who's in charge or who's kind of
Yeah.
calling the bigger shots. But they
Yeah.
gave the people that worked for them and that did their facilitation for them in the schools lots of agency, which I totally respect and appreciate it. Um, I mean, yeah, and in that organization, like when just talking with those women and working there and talking with the gentleman that worked with us, because there's literally like maybe two guys that worked there. Everywhere else was women. And just talking with those women and those two guys and being there in that space where it was like large about like respect. Like it literally was about respect. And that kind of encouraged me to get into therapy. Like I got that job and then got into therapy. And yeah, like just through having conversations with them. Um, and it was great. Like it was a really good space for me to be in at the time that I was in that space.
Wow, that's amazing. So it sounds like your process to return to wholeness legitimately was, I'm going to go find my people. Okay. And then in finding your people, they encourage you to unpack the wounds that was imparted onto you in therapy and start healing in a different space, which is amazing. So that's a great transition for us in talking about, you know like, what was that process for you in terms of returning to your wholeness after being harmed by leadership? Because it sounds like in your conversation, with this other manager who caused harm, it didn't sound like you had an opportunity to really give him or her feedback about how they impacted your life and how you see yourself. So I'm wondering, like, and you don't have to go into detail about, what you had in therapy and things like that, but I'm just curious, like, what are the how is it, the yellow brick road, the bricks, right, that you laid for yourself so that you can start to return to home to you?
Yeah. I'm gonna say like by nature, I'm not a person that holds grudge, and I think that's from my family dynamic. We're not grudge holders like at all. We could go through something in the morning. By the evening time, we're having a conversation and we're trying to move through it. And it might be a little like, hey, what you said earlier was a little crazy, and I didn't like that. So, and we'll get to it, but we're kind of moving on. We're gonna sit down, we're gonna have dinner, and we're gonna be okay. And I'm just not like a grudge holder in that way. So it was just so weird for me to be in a space where I was like mad at this man in that organization. I was just upset. But in therapy, what I learned really is like you truly do have to forgive people who don't even know they need forgiveness. Because people go around.
Hold on, wait. Say that one more again. Say that one more time.
You truly have to forgive people who don't even know they need forgiveness. Because it is for you. It's for you. It's not for them. It's for you to then continue to move around this space, to move around the world and navigate it. Because the more that you hold on to things, it weighs you down. Hello, like Erica Badu said, pack light. Life is a long journey. You can't be carrying all that around. Like, it's just insane. So I really learned to like forgive the people who didn't even know they need forgiveness in my life. And just, and now I kind of move through the space. Like, where you got me messed up at is where I'm checking you. So I really do try my hardest to, in the moment, to address things, and as respectful as I can, and as clear as I can, because what I have realized too is like, no one has my back. I got my back. So I am in any situation, my well-being is paramount. It is the top, it is the mountain high. It resides above all else. It's God and it's me in my world. Because I got to be okay to do everything else I got to do. I have to be okay to take care of the people in my life that I need to take care of. I have to be okay so I can show up for my community. I have to be okay so I can do all the things that I want to do to live a well life. So I'm not playing with me. I don't know what other people are doing, but I don't play with me. So when you start to play with me, pause, and I'm letting you know where you got me messed up. And where you got me messed up, if you want to fix it, we can fix it. You don't want to fix it, you can get gone or you're minimized. If you're a person in my life that cannot get gone, you will be minimized.
I mean, hard on the boundaries, people. You heard that. Hard on the boundaries. And, for me as an individual, I know that I've struggled myself with like creating boundaries, learning boundaries. I think I said on a previous stream, like I didn't know what boundaries were till a few years ago. Like I knew the term obviously, but I didn't know how to actively, set them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering for you, and then we'll transition into talking about B. Simone, child. But I'm wondering for you, like, how did you even begin the process of, starting to create boundaries? Like, what was one tip that you got from your therapist, or during that period in your life where you started to set hard boundaries, or at least hard boundaries again, right? Because like you woke up setting boundaries, okay? But like,
Hello.
but
I'm
like,
Minnie little granddaughter, and we don't play that.
but somehow, along the way, this person
All right, I got
who was
lost.
who was wounded,
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
impacted your spirit, or he or she impacted your spirit in
Deeply.
this way. So I'm wondering now, like, how did you, do that return to set? Like, what's one tip that you would give to people on how they can begin to set boundaries?
So in therapy, I think what I had to recognize, because I would bring things up with my therapist, right? And she would be like, well, why do you feel like you have to do that? Or why do you feel like you have to take that? You don't have to take that. That
Yeah,
person doesn't have to be in your life. You don't have
yeah,
to talk to that person. And I feel like I had got to the point in my life where I would like take a lot of stuff because I was like, I'm strong, I can take it. And then honestly, sometimes I wouldn't like have a rebuttal or fight back in a way that was like immediate and swift, because right now I'm immediate and swift. I'm cutting you down. I'm taking you down.
okay.
But in the past, I wouldn't be so immediate and swift because I would know, like, I'm just very empathetic, right? And like, I just have like what I like to call, I have the eye. So I see people and I can see who's really sensitive. I can see people when like a little joke or this or that bothers them. Like I pay attention to people that I'm talking to, and and are around very deeply. And so I feel it, you know? And so even when they do something that's like, oh, that's kind of like not a great behavior, that wasn't cool, I really do try. I really, in the past, have tried not to hurt those people's feelings, not to come at them in a way in which they just came at me that was nasty. Right? And so I feel like I used to be taking it all because I'm like, I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm strong, I'm smart. I already know what's going on. This is not about me and all of that. But through therapy, it's just kind of like, you're strong, you're smart, but you're still a person. And you should not have to be subjugated to any of that. And so now I just don't. And I tell people, like, I literally tell people, I tell my girlfriends, like, when I'm talking to them and I'm like, oh, yeah, girl, or this or that. And then they rebuttal with something that seems a little like maybe annoyed that I brought something up, or like that maybe I've crossed one of their boundaries and they didn't want to talk about this thing or whatever. And normally it's me coming from a supportive space and just being like, hey, why don't you try this? Right. But once I feel like the pushback from that, I go, okay. And I leave them. I understand.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful way to end it. It's like, okay, one, you've learned how to not cross boundaries yourself because you hold your own boundaries so sacred. And a way that you have gotten to that is definitely through therapy. It sounds like, I don't know if you journal, but for me, I do a lot of journaling in my space, which helps me to think through things, right? And process them in such a way that, okay, now I'm going to set this boundary and this is what I'm going to honor. So it sounds like, I don't know if that was your modus, your modus of operandi, but I know for me, like, that's what helped me the most.
So
yeah,
I don't journal per se.
Okay.
I want to journal more. What I do have, though, is what some of the people in my life know as the list.
Oh, you have a list?
I have a
Tell
list.
me about the list. Tell me
I'm
about
Arya Stark about this. Okay? I have a list. I got names. I got situations.
Wow.
So basically, when things happen for me, I'm like, I grab that phone, I go in them notes, and it could be coworker, annoying. And I just write it down. I write it down on my phone, I let it go.
Wow.
Or I'll put some, because I don't want to keep harping on the things that annoy me and make me upset. That. So I'm like, let me just write this down real quick and let it be known today at 5 p.m. you had me messed up. Done. Oh, and I'm letting it go. Or it could be anything random. Like, I remember at one point I was so over people saying, like, love and light, thoughts and prayers. And I was like, why do people keep saying that in such an empty way? And so
because it's performance.
Yes, I could not take it. So I remember, like, one of the things on my list literally is like love and light, thoughts and prayers. Like, I was over that. But I kept harping on it to my friends, like, I hate when people say this. And then I was like, let me write this down. And I have. And like, maybe you put love and light, thoughts and prayer in front of me and I'm gonna be like,
yeah, because one thing I notice about the need to feel superior, because like once it's crazy. So it's like, in my mind, right? Like, and to your point, which is the beautiful point that you're making, which is, the need to feel superior can hover over you and take control of you if you continue to hold on to the thing. So even though these people have harmed you and they are holding like this, we're going to say superior thing over you, or this thing that has offended you or wounded you in such a way over you, you don't need to let it hold on to your life, because then you're carrying that need of them feeling superior over you, which is so beautifully put. And by writing it down,
my digital burn book,
by writing it down and letting it go, because to your point, you're burning it in your mind, is such a very cool way to actually, for people to do that. So like, y'all heard that tip. Like, that's a tip.
I
Write
literally
it down
just jot
and let it go. Yeah.
Like, I promise you, let me see. Where's my list?
Write it down and let it go. I love that. I love that. And
I'm gonna block it, but like, that's proof that it's the list.
That it's real.
It's real.
It's real.
Like, I don't play.
Get you know.
You see how the hand is blocking? Yeah. It's a long list.
It's a long list. Oh, that's beautiful. As we wrap up this space, I want to ask you 3 more questions. So we're going to 3 more questions as we.
I'll try to keep it short.
Um, I mean, keep it as long as you want. We're gonna break this up anyway
Oh, okay.
and like edit it into like one really great clip, which is the question. The first question of the three is, what's one version of you that doesn't work like that anymore, right? Like doesn't work in the typical old fashioned way of like, being influenced, being broken as you've like stepped out of these spaces where you've been working.
Hmm. The part of me that doesn't work in the same way anymore is the strong part of me. The strength is still there, but the strength is also not still there. I am so much more willing now to be like, no, I'm fainting and fawning with the rest of them. Ooh, I can't take this. Ooh, it's too much. Because I feel like for so long, I've just been trained or like in spaces where people expect me to be the strongest and the toughest. And
Yeah,
guess what? I'm not. I'm not going to be that.
yeah,
I'm not. I'm with the rest of you. I can't. This
yeah.
is hard.
Don't know
This feels
how.
difficult. I'm confused.
Yeah, because you get to be a forever learner just like everybody else. You don't
Yeah,
need to be the
because
strong
I
one.
feel like, like I would get so frustrated being in spaces being like, why don't we know how to do this? Why aren't we just doing this? Blah, 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 blah. Now I'm like, let me take a step back because maybe it's something I'm missing here. Everybody else seems to be on par with just being like, I don't know, surrendering, whereas I constantly was in a process of trying to muscle through. And I feel like I surrender a lot more now.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. The second question is, what are you learning about softness and sovereignty in your leadership? Because you are going on to do wonderful things. The last I checked, you just graduated with a whole degree and
Mm-hmm.
about to be doing like huge things
Yeah.
as you transition. I'm just like wondering, like, what are you learning about your own leadership, given that you've been hurt by wounded leaders, right? Like, I'm just, you know what? Let me rephrase that question. What are you learning about your own softness? That's one. But then what would you say to the leaders who've caused you wounds as you learn about your own softness? So it's a two-parter.
Oh man, softness. Ugh. Girl, you wanna be here for another hour? Like what? Um,
We only got 15, so
all
make it
right.
good.
Well, I will say this. I will say that I grew up um in a neighborhood and going to schools because it did not happen in my home. But in my neighborhood and going to school and being around other young people, I was always treated as if I was not worthy of softness. Even in elementary school, like I mean, I'm in fourth grade and like kids started calling me Debo from Friday. That was like what
I mean,
kids would
friend,
call
you don't
me.
even look like Debo. What in the what?
Oh, it's because ever since I was a child, I've always had like an athletic build. So like
Oh.
even in like fourth grade, you could see my little cuts in my arm like Angela Bassett. I had muscles.
I
I was
love that you
toned.
compared yourself to Angela Bassett, because
Oh
yes,
yeah, hello. That's my celebrity
yes,
mom. Not to be confused with my real mom.
because yes.
Celebrity mom is Angela Bassett, and my celebrity grandma is Cicely Tyson. Don't fool me. Yeah,
Ooh,
the family eats celebrity in the real life. So, but yeah, and kids used to call me that, and it used to like be so frustrating, right? Because it was like I almost took on that identity. I like anytime people would bully me, I started fighting back. I started like turning up and just acting a fool because I was like, "Oh, I'm Debo. All right, let me show you something." Um, and I feel like I just was always treated as if I wasn't worthy of softness. And then unfortunately too, it would always be a thing of like I would have like a friend who was lighter skinned. I would watch them be treated in a way that was like softer, more gentle, more ladylike, more girl like. And like the tea is I've always been hella girly. I am girly. I am soft. But like while being all those things, I am still like loud and vivacious and fun and outgoing and confident in your face. But I feel like there was never space for me to be that with other people. So I had to kind of like choose to lean into these things when I want to and when I feel like it. And I do. Like I just do me. Like some days I'm just like, let me make some muffins. I'm in the kitchen feeling a little domesticated, giving, want to put an apron on. I'm feeling cute. Or want to do some art projects. Want to just, be cutesy and live a very little. And then other days I want to be rough buff. And I want to go out and I want to be like, let me hike, let me ride bikes. Like, I want to run around. I want to, oh, come on, let's shoot around on the basketball court. Like, I just want to do, I want to do anything that I want to do. And I think that the softness was always there. It's just that listening to others and letting others control how I was feeling in that space, or and then believing that it wasn't there, or I wasn't deserving of it, because it just was never allowed to be. Like, I mean, it just was not allowed to be. Like, if you caught me like people used to act surprised, like I said, I'm multi hyphenate, so I can like sketch really well, paint and all of that, right? And I would do these like art projects and stuff at school, and people would be like, "Oh, that's so nice," and I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm nice, because I'm good at this." But it would always be like a surprise, like, "Oh wow," because to them, I'm just a girl that's Debo. I'm dark skinned. I have a muscle on my like muscle tone, skinny little body. Because also let's not forget that elementary school. I'm probably like 70, 80 pounds, tiny as ever. But they're making me out to be this like hyper masculine, crazy person that just never was.
Yeah. And how are you going to bring that into your leadership as you step into your roles, like your new roles? I know you're applying for
I
jobs
let
and
people
things like
tell me who they are.
that. Ooh.
You tell me who you are, and I'm going with you. And when that changes, you can communicate that too.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to assume who a person is, because you can look at people and assume things. And like I said, I have the eye. So I be looking. But I still keep those to myself. And then when they're affirmed, I'm like, ooh, cool, look at me with the eye. But if they're not affirmed, I'm not like, oh my God, this person doesn't fit what I thought they were. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm happy. Like one of my homeboys right now, we're on the phone the other day, and he's taking like dance classes, right? But he's like he's learning the hustle. And so he goes to hustle classes all over the city and is like having the time of his life. And I was like, I am so surprised. I'm like, who are you going with? He was like, by myself. I'm like, oh, period. Like, I love that. I have another homegirl that does roller derbying right now. And like, I just love when people are doing anything that they want to do and like feeling good about it. And that's it. So I think, yeah, no, I was going to say, I think that for me, softness in my leadership is listening. Softness in my leadership is adjusting. Softness in my leadership is meeting people where they're at and being understanding and just supportive.
Yeah. And then the last question is, you know, what is something that you want people to take away from this conversation here today?
Um, okay, something that I would like people to take away from this conversation today is don't let people play with you. Set your boundaries. Be true to yourself. And yeah, you come first. No one is going to fiercely fight for you, have your back the way that you are. And you have to. You just have to. And having your own back doesn't mean that you don't care about others. You love other people. I love other people. I love the people in my life. I just happen to love me too. And that's okay. And when it comes to loving me, it happens first.
I love that. Y'all heard it here first, right? Like Niquana said it. You have to make sure it's God, then you. Put yourself at the top of your own food chain. You are in charge of your own world.
Yes.
And that is a beautiful headspace.
Agency, urgency, because your life is nothing to play with.
Yes, you heard that. You heard that. Your
And
life is nothing to play with, and you shouldn't play about you.
because I don't.
Okay. So thank you so much for whoever tuned in on the YouTube. whoever is going to tune in on the TikTok and Instagram once this episode airs. And thank you, Niquana, for again holding space. I know we went over the time. It was supposed to be 30 minutes, but the conversation was so good. And we definitely had to, react to the B. Simone miss. But again, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
No problem. It was my pleasure. Bye, chat.